by the lake, and I'm about to start doing my Wim Hof breathing and Kundalini breathing exercises, and hi doggy, and get in the water for a nice dip. The temperature is probably, I need to double check this and I'll put it on the screen, I'm sure, but it's I think it's in the low 60s. It's enough to be therapeutic, but I'm looking forward to when it gets down in the low 50s and then, you know, closer to 40. That's when it's like a slushy consistency, that's when it feels the best. So a couple of notes about this week. So I finally had an opportunity to speak with my old manager at the bartending job that I was considering going back to. And I know I've been sort of wishy-washy. I still feel wishy-washy, but I'm glad I've been talking about this in my channel and like getting feedback from people, and also just thinking about it more, because I have had a lot of mixed feelings about the idea of walking away from trucking when I've invested so much in it, like so much time, money, effort, energy, everything. I'm just now starting to feel like a little bit more confident as a driver, and feel like I'm getting a little bit better at managing my time and stuff like that. But after talking with my former manager and another inside source I have at the venue, I realized that it probably is not a good time to go back there. That's a little bit of a bummer, but I also was just sort of like in my gut, like, do I really want to go back to doing this thing that was just, you know, not challenging me at all, and kind of left me feeling, it's hard to describe, but when you do jobs like that, there's part of you that can kind of enjoy it, but then it gets so robotic that you feel like you're losing little pieces of your soul. So what else? I was thinking about how I think like sort of a mark of progress when you have a YouTube channel is like when you start to have people that hate you. And it's like, I don't want that. You know, obviously I try to put out positive content. I do show the sides of myself that I think are unappealing, like when I'm, you know, feeling self-pity or like dwelling on, you know, negative thoughts or whatever. I share that stuff because I think I want people to see the truth of like what I'm experiencing, and like I'm evolving. I'm not there yet, but I've grown so much. And the funny thing is, I think it's easy for me to forget. People who are watching this are they've only seen what I've shown them. They don't know where I've come from. They don't know the progress that I've made. And sometimes it might seem to somebody else that I'm like, you know, they might look at it and go, that's pathetic, or whatever they might think. I don't know. I consider myself a success story, despite the fact that I have my moments of weakness or not thinking in the most optimal fashion, and that's just being human. So I'm fucking cool with that, you know. But I have started to have like a consistent hater. Let me just put it this way. I can tell that the way I come across to this person represents a sort of ethos that they really dislike, that really like rubs them the wrong way. And I know how that feels. I can relate to like when I've watched content creators, like there's people I really like. I love Chelsea Handler, but some of the stuff that she says in her podcast really irritates me, and I'm like, that's problematic to me. Well, I think about like saying something, like sending a message to her. She actually reads her messages, and she's responded to me before in messages. I also am like, well, is it purposeful? Like, will it make her think? Maybe. I don't know, maybe. We all have these sort of things that we watch or like pay attention to that like get under our skin, but we watch it anyway. So I think that person is how they feel about me. Like they don't like me or my content, but they watch it because like they like scratching the itch kind of thing. It's weird. And I thought, is there anything that I follow that it makes me feel like that? And the only thing I could come up with was like, I haven't watched it in a long time, but I used to watch Real Housewives, and that's kind of like that, where I think they're like kind of abhorrent as human beings, but like I also think they're fascinating, you know, which obviously is a common enough sentiment. So I'll watch them and be like kind of disgusted with them and myself for watching. But yeah, I think that's interesting. I don't quite understand it because it's like the person is taking their own time to watch something that they don't agree with or like. But then maybe it's like me, where they like something about it and they don't like other things about it. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting phenomenon. morning, and the source of my frustration, this is my truck right here, and I need to back into that dock right there. Where is it? It's hard to see in this video. Someone came over to talk to me as I was trying to film that video, but basically where I was pointing to, there was a little pickup truck that was blocking, like right pulled up to the corner of where you have to back in, and apparently that's like a constant issue for drivers. And this guy in a forklift came over and he told me, he's like, I don't know why they parked that there. He's like, you're doing good, don't be embarrassed. He's like, truck drivers have a hard time with that all the time. But then someone came and moved that pickup truck so I could back in more easily. And even then, I think it's because I got psyched out. It was like a bitch to back in, because on the other side of the street from me, there's a pole and a fire hydrant and like a grassy island thing. So it's like an obstacle course. I came here yesterday and I arrived 5 minutes after my appointment time, and there had been a note saying get here as early as you can, and that was the earliest I was able to get here. When I walked up, this forklift operator was like, yeah, they just went on break and they might not be able to unload you tonight. And I was like, shit, because I had already had an assignment after that was like a drop and hook right down the road and then heading out from there. And I was like, okay, this should be no big deal. So I waited until he said they would be back from their break, which was an hour. And I needed to take my 30-minute anyway, so it kind of worked out. And I came back over, I walked over because I was parked around the corner. And as soon as I walked up, there was this young guy there who was someone different. So I was like, oh, I take you back from your break. And I was friendly, and I just said, kind of was saying hi to him. And it was like this kid had this immediate chip on his shoulder. And he's like, yeah, we're not going to be able to unload you today. And it was really weird because the way his energy was toward me was as if he was like excited to tell me to fuck off. I was like, okay. Because I deal with shippers every day, and a lot of them are cool. Yeah, you have some assholes here and there. I'm getting unloaded, so I'm jostling a little bit. Thunk. It was really weird. His energy toward me was so crappy, and he was really young. He was probably like in his 20s, and it's rare to encounter somebody who is like that, because a lot of these places, I think that, especially this is a little bit smaller kind of place, that they kind of respect you. You're there, we're working together, we're a team, and so I often get some kind of weird energy, and sometimes it's men, I think, who are not that comfortable interacting with women in work settings, and that's unfortunately a common enough thing. But I get more guys who are respectful because they're like, yeah, she's out here doing it. I think I get that kind of vibe from them. When I came up here this morning and I saw like, oh, I have to back in there, that's going to be a bummer. I saw the driver that was parked in there, a guy named David, real sweet guy. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, how would you recommend backing in here? And he gave me some pointers, and that really helped me a lot. But I still had a fucking hard time. I didn't get enough sleep. And I talked about another video, which I don't know if it'll be before or after this one, but some really terrible news that I got yesterday that made me really emotional, and I spent a lot of time crying yesterday, and when I have days like that, I feel really drained after that, and woke up this morning feeling haunted, which I knew I would, because my brain likes to fucking pick at scabs while I'm trying to sleep, so I'm kind of out of sorts today. And but last night, dealing with that kid when I had been through this emotional experience in the day was really unfortunate. It was like, man, I don't have time for your little energy. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I don't got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. We're all here trying to do a job. I'm a nice person. You can be a nice person. That's fucking weird, man. I don't understand when people act like that. I'm getting unloaded, headed like 80 miles south of here. I'm in Minnesota. It was such a pretty drive yesterday. The trees are turning, and it was absolutely gorgeous. I was able to enjoy that. And I'm driving down, taking a load of something somewhere. No, I'm just kidding. I'm taking a load down to Iowa, so that's should be a pretty drive as well. So that's my morning. another driver for our company is at the same place picking up I am. It's a Red Bull warehouse, and it's not fun at all to get in here, and it's super high volume, as you might imagine, because people drink the fuck out of some Red Bull. And I just think it's funny because after like serving so many Red Bull drinks over the years and seeing how like frantic people get about fucking Red Bull, it's funny to pick up a truckload of it. I'm worried about getting stuck here for a while, although the pace in there is quick, so hopefully it'll be relatively fast. But I don't have that much time left on my clock, and I'm gonna head back up to Wisconsin from whence I came earlier today. But the funny thing was, backing into the spot I'm in was a total shit show. I made a poor choice in strategy and how to get into the spot that I'm in that involved pulling into a parking area. Of course, in my head, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. I can do this. No, I didn't. Okay, I'll just show you this. I pulled in there, you know, thinking I could like pull straight in between, you know, straighten out myself there and then just back from there. I'm like, oh yeah, that won't be so bad. You know, there's a good amount of space out going that way. No, it didn't quite work out like that, and I ended up needing a lot of help. And the guy that was next to me that just left, that had a hard time getting out, helped me. I actually bumped some guy's mirror, which is embarrassing because I didn't get out and look, and I should have. And he was holding down his air horn, and I swear my brain, it's like I knew it was him, but it didn't sound like I expected the air horn to sound. I don't know why. It sounded like a train horn, and I was like, where the train, was there a train around here, or am I hitting someone right now? It was very confusing because I didn't think I was as close to him as I clearly was. But everything was fine. I touched his mirror, but thankfully he stopped me before it went farther than that. I was able to run back to my what the fuck is the word? Oh my God. When you drive a truck for long enough during the day, you will lose your ability to speak. Your brain starts turning into mush. The kid that's loading me just came out and put an airlock on my truck. They do funny things when you're loading at places, like to make sure that you don't like steal the freight, or I don't know. I don't want a fucking truckload of Red Bull. I like go in there and he's like, can I have your driver's license? I was like, oh, it's raining out. I had parked my car. I keep saying that. I had parked my truck way the fuck out of the way because I didn't want to be in anyone's way, because I'm so nice like that. I'm always concerned about everyone else's convenience. And so I had to run back to my truck and get my driver's license, and I came back and he gives me a piece of paper to fill out, and it asks for the fucking license plate number on my tractor. And I was like, motherfucker. And the kid that is loading me came out to do the airlock thing, and then I was talking to him for a minute. He was such a stoner kid, like straight up. I kind of love talking to people like that, because it's like, I was such a fucking pothead for so long. It's like, yeah, brother, you're my people. So I think I'm gonna stick with trucking a little while longer, and I'm thinking about another story that I'm not gonna get into in this video, but let's just say things in my apartment are not up to my standards, and I don't have like a regular lease. I can basically give them a couple months notice and be out. So I may do that. I'm not really sure yet, but I am thinking about living in my truck again for a little while, because I'm never home. I'm thinking about just going over the road. I know I'm like giving you whiplash with my change in opinions about things from one week to the next, but what I keep coming back to is I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at with trucking. I don't want to continue doing it indefinitely because it's turning my brain into mush, and it's physically like a killer. But that's why I'm considering trying to do another flatbed account and seeing if maybe it will be more tolerable with regards to my stupid neck, because the physicality of doing flatbed totally offset my issues in a way I need to. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the road. This little excursion was a little bit stressful, and I had to drive back into my terminal for my job today, and the traffic on 8094 heading into northwest Indiana is a goddamn shit show, and I do not recommend it. It is bad for your health. It's bad for your bladder, and it's bad for your temper. Actually, I stay pretty calm. That's not an issue for me. I just am like impatient to get done with it when I'm stuck in it. So anyway, I think that's pretty much all I have to say. My video doesn't seem that interesting. I can't use words. I feel awkward. Good evening. It's been a while since I did a end of day video, so I thought I would throw one your way. This is a heating pad that I got for my neck specifically, and it's super soft, and I can't show it to you right now, but it plugs into the cigarette lighter, and it's gonna get added to my list of trucking must-haves. I'm gonna do a video sometime soon that is going to be like my trucking must-haves in the category of comfort, because I've actually gotten some comments before which are buried now, and the last time I tried to figure out which video they were on, I could not find it. So I'd have to go back and look through old videos, because there was one commenter who left the most extensive, awesome list of items that you should have as a truck driver, and a lot of those things were more practical to trucking itself, and my must-haves are all based around comfort. And I think that's super important, comfort and like well-being and health. And I probably give more time and attention than so many other drivers to like being comfortable and feeling well, and I feel a little guilty about that sometimes, because I'm not as much of a hustler, I'm not in as much of a rush, I'm not probably getting as many miles, and it's not just because I'm a company driver and I'm new and it's hard to get miles, and also like I'm less efficient because I'm newer. It's not just that, it's also that I take my time sometimes to spend 10 extra minutes making myself a pour over because I want a good coffee every morning, and like spending 10 to 15 minutes doing breathing exercises and all that kind of stuff that I take time on. But to me, it's so critical to do that stuff to offset the stress of being a driver. So I'm all about it. So yeah, this thing, I absolutely love it. And especially now that we're heading into winter months and it looks like I'm going to continue driving, which I talked about in another clip. I'm mentally preparing for driving in the winter and being in my truck in the winter. And this is not just good because I have neck pain and upper back pain, which I'm sure a lot of drivers have. It's also just comfortable to throw on while I'm driving. This thing in the 2021 Freightliner and probably similar year Freightliners, the cigarette lighter, there's also other ones that are in the bunk area. There's two along the floor, and the cord easily reaches there from the driver's seat. So I have this plugged in, and there's an on and off switch with different levels, and I turn it on and off or turn it up or down during the day while I'm driving. And today was the first day I used it, and I was like, this is awesome. It feels so comfy. It's soft and it's warm and it's comforting. And if you're sleepy, you don't want to do that. But when I'm not sleepy, it's fine. I also love driving with my windows cracked because I love the breeze coming through, especially on my bald head. So yeah, it's going to take a while to grow out. So I like to have like this heat, and I'm wearing like a cozy sweatshirt and a hat and stuff, and then I have the wind blowing back and forth, and it just feels good. So that's a long spiel about that. What else can I tell you? I had about a 13-hour day today. One of the stops was supposed to be a drop-in hook, but it ended up being longer than that because the trailer that I was supposed to be picking up that was loaded was not finished being loaded yet. And what was annoying is they had like 5 preloaded trailers in the pickup lot for my company, and none of them were my trailer. My trailer was still sitting in the dock door. I was like, man. So that delayed me a little bit, but it was okay. I have to watch these training videos that are mandatory for my company, and it was kind of, I know those things are kind of stupid, but this one was on winter driving. And I know myself, and I think it's always good. Even if you think you know, it's good to have that information reinforced. It always is. So I watched it, and it was kind of a good thing because it had me think about some things. And I was driving in a lot of rain and wind today. I actually had to drive through Wisconsin up to like the Upper Peninsula. What a gorgeous drive in the fall. Oh my God. There are these scenic overlooks that on, like, there's the route that I was on, there was one on either side of the highway, and I wasn't sure if I could fit my truck to pull off. They're basically the size, they're not the size of a rest area, they're kind of like the size of one of those crash investigation sites. And I don't know if any of you truck drivers have pulled into those before, but next time I get routed up there, it's like, it says scenic overlook. Did I just say that? I ate now, so I have some capacity for words, but man, after driving for a while, I have a very hard time speaking and finding words. It's always like when I go into the shippers' offices and I start talking, it's crazy how hard it is for me to talk. And it's really a weird feeling because that's not normally an issue for me. But yeah, I was like, man, I wish I had gotten out and gotten a picture with these gorgeous, you know, the treetops, and they're just like every color. So I'm hoping they send me up there again in the next couple of weeks so I can capture a nice photo or video for you guys, and for myself, because it's just so beautiful. On my way up there, I was empty for a while, and driving an empty trailer when there were wind gusts about 30 miles an hour and it was raining, that's not fun. You know, I was kind of all over the road, you know, as keeping control as best I can, but you can only do so much when there's that much wind. And you feel like, I wish people could see that don't drive trucks, because you look like this. You look like it's probably comical looking the way you're steering, but it's like how you have to steer to keep that shit straight on the road. What else? That's pretty much it. It was a pretty uneventful day. The shippers that I went to were the place that I had to wait for my trailer to finish being loaded. It's this huge paper mill facility, and I had been there one other time, so that was great because that was familiar. It wasn't at all intimidating. And then the other place where I dropped off that load of Red Bull this morning, that guy was the nicest fucking guy ever. And it was like so easy. And of course, as soon as I got there, it started raining. It was like I got kind of rained on. It's always so nice when you go to shippers and they're really like super friendly. It feels so good because it's like, I don't know if they realize it, but when the isolation of being a truck driver, when you go inside to deal with a person finally after you've been alone for a long time and they're nice to you, it feels really good. It makes a big difference. And he's like, go get yourself some Red Bull. They're in that cooler over there. And I don't really drink Red Bull, but I grabbed a couple anyway. So yeah, I'm driving. I'm real close to the Illinois border, still in Wisconsin, and I'm heading down to really close to St. Louis, or kind of close to St. Louis, but still barely in Illinois. So I'm taking a load down there. That's the load I picked up today in the UP. And it's a load of paper, so I'm taking that down. That's nice because I'm loaded pretty heavy. My load is nice and balanced, which is good because I took care of that when I left the mill. It's one of those rare places that actually has a fucking scale on site. I wish they all did. So tomorrow should be kind of a boring drive through Illinois. I hope it's not too windy and craptacular out, but hopefully it'll be pretty. So what else can I tell you? That's pretty much it. Things are going fine. I'm mentally preparing to probably go over the road. I already contacted a manager at my company to let him know I want to switch to a national account. And like I said in the previous clip, I know it's probably like, what the fuck? Like, you said you were going to leave trucking and now you're like going to go over the road. I know that sounds crazy, but I guess it was kind of like the thought of walking away made me reflect on so many different things and made me realize that I can get more creative with the way I do things, the way I use the little moments I have here and there when I'm at a shipper or whatever to get in 5 or 10 minutes here and there of exercise that'll keep my body from falling apart and feeling shitty. And I'm likely going to try to do flatbed. And I have my doubts as to whether I'll be able to tolerate it, but that's the nice thing of working for a huge company is you can walk away from it and it doesn't fucking affect them that much. You know, you don't feel bad if they train you and then you try doing it and it doesn't work out. It's like, okay, at least I tried, at least I got some more formal training. Okay, I'm officially losing my ability to talk. That's all I got for now. And yeah, gonna get some sleep.